Come now, all you mangy dogs. Swab the decks and hoist the sails. The guns on board be needing some proper manning. Pieces of 8 and a fine wench on your arm. If your work be not too shoddy. Careful not to flounder too badly, though, or you may have to dance the hempen jig as we see you to Davy Jones. Jeffy, my boy, on with the show.
Avast, me hearties. To our listeners from across all regions of the planet, welcome once again aboard the Robin Hood, flagship to the world's one and only cooperatively inspired charity podcast network. Live streaming today from under wintry crystal blue and only slightly sprayed South Korean skies. You've tuned into episode 47 of Pirate Radio Podcasts. I'm your host and ship's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. Raising anchor yet once again, today's guest is cryptocurrency whiz-kid and multi-talented New Age Renaissance man, David Zimbeck. Creator of both Bit and BlackHalo, David Zimbeck is a man who's worn many hats. He has his own film and photography companies, while also claiming the good fortune of having played a swashbuckling role in Pirates of the Caribbean 2. After starting to compete in chess tournaments, he even now boasts having defeated 10 grandmasters, altogether once in Europe. As a real estate agent, Zimbeck learned the ins and outs of escrow services, which would later help him develop his revolutionary Bit and Blackcoin innovations. You know, Pirate Larry, it never ceases to amaze me the amount of time, just how quickly it all flies by. And here we are again, another week on the show with Pirate Radio Podcasts. So you managed, on top of that, to weather a bit of a storm, is what we're hearing. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? Good to have you back.
It was fierce. It was wild and windy. The electric poles went out. We were without electricity here for about 8 hours today. But I think the winds are going to die down, and it should be sunny starting Monday. But we had people who had their roofs blown off. 3 houses on the hill had their roofs blown off. 1 house completely fell over. So there's a lot of cleaning up to do. A lot of cleaning up.
Did you know about the billboard?
Oh, David, tell them about the billboard.
Yeah, there was a billboard that fell on the Sinopolis movie theater. And it fell, I think it fell, I don't know if anybody got hit by it, but I don't know, it was pretty bad.
It's a big movie billboard.
David, we got David there coming through as well, too. So let's, it sounds like you guys are almost in the same room or something. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that was the case.
We're in the tavern.
We're in the tavern.
Now, so what? Which one is it now? Because we've talked about we're going to hold this show. Go ahead. Get down. Yeah.
Howlin' Wolf Tavern.
Howlin' Wolf. Okay, yeah. We don't want you in the crow's nest today. Things are going to be run a little more differently than what people perhaps are more standardly accustomed to here as they tune into our show. So. But David, it's great to have you back. This is now, I guess, Larry did, of course, he did a great interview with you a few months ago there. Today's talk will hopefully be a bit of a revisitation, although we're going to hopefully, on top of that, try to cover some new ground as well, too. But let's see where we can pick things up from exactly. Well, just off the top, a lot of people don't know. You guys are having your weather problems there in Baja. Here in Korea, we're celebrating the Chinese New Year. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to stick around for an after show in the Rogues Gallery or not. But you guys can maybe be able to pick up a little of the slack there on that end, hopefully, if at all possible. So we'll just have to see. You celebrate the Chinese New Year in Mexico, Larry? I'm guessing not. But
Yeah, Mexico celebrates everything.
what is it? The
We celebrate everything.
year of the tiger? No, what the hell's year of Trump or so? Who is Trump? What's his Chinese rooster? I guess it's the rooster. Yeah, is that right? I think he's the cock. He's the big cock.
He seems that way.
He's the yeah. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say prick. That's a different thing. We're talking. We're just talking. You know, we're talking chickens and that kind of stuff here. Yeah, agricultural livestock. So, but let's leave that aside for now, and see if we can kind of make our way through the talking points. What we'd hope to discuss here. I got to find my way to the Howling Wolf. Might take a minute or two here, guys. So, but David, what are your thoughts? What are your recollections or memories of that initial interview then that you did with Larry a couple months ago?
It was great. I got to talk, about all the stuff that we were working on. We got so many good topics covered. I really don't feel like we trailed off too much, and I mean it's really important to cover all of the things that are changing and the things that are changing in the world, I guess you would call, of decentralized technology, which is maybe just a big word for saying freedom.
Mm-hmm. How about that? Hey, freedom. Wow, what a concept. So, yeah, decentralized blockchain. Now, these are all terms that I'm assuming a lot of our listeners, and we've got a few people dropping in here already, including the two Pirate Joes that have dropped by just like clockwork. So it's good to see them. They might have a comment or two they want to share with us from the sidelines there in the YouTube live and streaming chat. We also have the video show that we've got fired up there as well too, David. If you want to take a look at that, there might be about a 30-second delay or so, but outside of that, you should be able to get a pretty good idea of what we have going on here from this end. We got everything basically set up. So go ahead.
If you can see any interesting questions come your way, I guess there's no reason not to let me know.
Yeah, no, that's what we usually do for sure. So, but let's see now. Well, I'll tell you what, and the thing is, you don't, unlike a lot of other guests, you don't really need to show us too many more of your pirate credentials. Isn't that the thing? Why might that be?
Yar. Yar, matey. I was a pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Back in the day.
How about that? So why don't we just do a quick, this is before we really dive into things from a hardcore, from the blockchain, all this technical jargon and so forth, with digital currency and whatnot, cryptocurrency. Why don't we spend a minute or two talking about that? I'd like to get a little more into your bio, in fact, too, because you're a pretty interesting guy based on what the information that we've been presented with here. You've really covered a lot of bases here. Very highly well-rounded, world traveler, top world class, it would seem, chess player. I mean, you've got your own photography and video company in place, and so on and so forth, all at the ripe old age of 12.
Right. Well, so yeah, to get started, I was in Los Angeles, and my sister was always really big into acting, so she always wanted to kind of introduce me to it. And so I knew how to get an agent and stuff, and I'd gone out on some auditions, and I actually fared pretty well. I booked a lot of national commercials, like for Time Warner, American Online, and other things. And my big role was that I got booked in Pirates of the Caribbean 2, which was an audition which I think was one of the biggest auditions in LA history at the time. Actually, it was about 10,000 people, I think, that went out for it, and they only booked like 20 in the core. And I was surprised, as I just didn't think I was going to get it, because I was the youngest one auditioning probably by 30 years. So when I got it, it was like, oh, wow. And I was totally new to big roles like that with acting, so I didn't know how to handle contracts or anything like that. However, it was an awesome experience. I mean, I went out to Bahamas and Freeport and was on location. I know Johnny Depp and Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom and all that stuff. I worked like right alongside them. We didn't get in the credits though because, well, I think it's because Disney's kind of cheap. And at the end of the production, Hurricane Wilma hit, and we had to go home a little early. So only a couple of the guys ended up getting upgraded to the line. But I think I was supposed to get a line, but I ended up not getting one. So
you did a fair deal of swashbuckling, I guess, and you pitched battles and the scenes and so forth. You found in a few of those, from the impression that I've got here. So
actually, we before the production, we had false teeth made for us. Like they gave me like a special retainer that was just fit my jaw, and they gave us cannon training and gun training and all, the same, pirate stuff. So, yeah.
Well, it's pretty impressive. How about that? And a little bit, if you want, now's a good time. We've got a whole number of links that we're going to share with the people here too. Of course, we've already done in the lead up to putting the show together, and then of course in the follow up when we have things put together and packaged in the MP3 audio form. But just as far as your company, your photography, basically what you've done in that area, that line of work, it's all independent, I guess. You've traveled. I mean, what is this deal? What I really want to know. Here's the thing that blows my mind. You took up chess at, I'm not sure how many, at the ripe old age of whatever.
I don't know, 11 or 12. Some people get in earlier, but I picked it up kind of late.
Yeah.
But I set a pretty high standard for myself. I wanted to be I didn't want to be like in the, I didn't want to get my grandmaster title, but I wanted to do something equivalent that was significant. So I ended up getting into something called chess puzzle making.
Right.
And I set goals to break certain world records from a really young age. So that I think by setting the standard high, I sort of forced myself to get stronger quickly. And yeah, I ended up doing it. I ended up achieving my goal and breaking a bunch of different world records for chess composition, and including the complexity records. So I have developed some of the most complex chess puzzles in the world, and so after that, I was pretty much happy with what I've achieved. So I guess maybe there's a difference. I guess I could compare it like this. Chess, when you play over the board live, is more like a sport, whereas chess puzzle making is more like an art form. So it's like painting a picture, kind of like that. So it's like an art form within chess, and that helped me get pretty strong. And then I ended up becoming a pretty good analyst, and did a lot of analysis for different chess openings and stuff like that. And I've played against a lot of grandmasters and won a lot of games against a lot of grandmasters. I never went out to get my title, but I am a senior master in the United States. So,
Once in Europe, apparently, is what you were. I guess the information that was included in your bio was it just all in one sitting at one particular tournament that you knocked off 10 grandmasters? All in how does? I'm not sure the time frame there or context, but fill us in.
It was an action tournament. Yeah.
And how do those? That's based on a clock, 30 seconds timer, or?
No, they play. I think it was 10-minute time control. It was in Europe, in Paris, not in Paris though. I think it was outside of Paris, but it was in France. I'd stayed in France for about 4 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had some really good results, but I stopped playing before I hit my peak because I'd already hit my goal, and that's kind of why I moved around from different jobs. Since I hadn't set it to be my career, because it was never supposed to be my career. But I do think by doing it, it helped me get good at different things, like programming, for example. I was able to pick that up quickly because I was able to kind of visualize code. So I think by doing that, it helped me in a lot of other ways, and I would recommend it to kids, to teach them something like that, because chess helps you plan, and it helps you visualize things without them actually being there, and it's really useful to apply to different fields. And so yeah, I mean, when I was in Los Angeles, Los Angeles is what I consider to be the place of the perpetually unemployed. every time you finish a job, you're out of work. You know, if you're acting and you finish a commercial, you're out of work. You need to go find more work.
That's right.
So, I mean, I had picked up a lot of other things that I'd done. So I picked up my real estate license, and I was doing, I preferred to do stuff on the production end more than the acting end, because I was never really a big fan of the limelight. And so I was really interested in, you know, like commercial production, photography, and stuff like that. I started out in photography, and then I moved into commercial production when I met a friend of mine who runs a company called Video Optimized, and he would get he'd get a lot of people for internet marketing and video campaigns. So one thing led to another, and I was like, well, he doesn't have a commercial department, so I'd ended up getting commercials from every client that he booked in, which meant consistent work, because he would bring in clients all the time. And so we'd get a lot of commercials. Some of them were cheaper, but every once in a while we'd get a higher budget one. We did one for Mercedes, for example, and a couple other people. So I did get some pretty consistent work with commercial production.
You talk
So
about
that's
yeah. Oh, it sounds quite that's quite impressive. So and it definitely sounds like you've in that area at least managed to find your niche. You're just like we the way we we kind of unpack things in the introduction was we have ourselves on board today a regular just he's a renaissance man, really. He just seems to have a lot going on for sure. But one of the things I was just going to quickly say regarding this business of being in the limelight, as it were, and acting profession and whatnot, is that a lot of people actually they're not interested. One of the reasons they find it so bloody boring. As far as the movie sets are concerned, I've heard stories repeatedly where it's like, God, how long do we have to wait before we actually go on the camera next and do the next scene? And
tell me about it. The first time when I was working on Pirates, I was only like maybe 19 or 20. So when I was sitting on set, I'd never done something like that before. We were working 16-hour days, and it was pretty much hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait. Hurry up to set. Hey, what are you doing? Don't slack off, soldier. Oh, and now wait. You're there for like 4 hours waiting. But
how was
when I got
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to continue on that because there's something that needs to be said. When I got on the production end of things, and I had a production where unfortunately I kind of got screwed over by a bunch of my friends who flaked and just came late and just didn't appreciate the opportunity. And that was my first production it was a short film. And I can tell you from firsthand experience that now I know why productions have so many people waiting. Because they need somebody to be there just in case the star flakes, or just in case the cameraman flakes, or just in case, the DP or whatever. You need everybody there. And you need backups, because if somebody doesn't show up, then you're out of what? 10 grand, 20 grand, whatever it costs you to film for that day. You lose all of that money if you don't have a bunch of people on file. So the secret to being a good producer is actually just having a huge file of phone numbers. That's all you need.
That's right.
You need a bunch of phone numbers. And if somebody's not there, you need to be able to call and get them replaced within minutes, which means you need to have the people on file to know who you are and know that you give work out. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I mean, hey, we're responsible for putting out a weekly podcast, 90 minutes, and we do all the the booking and promotion and pre-production, and so we know what it's like to have cancellations, whether it's just some an emergency, health emergency, personal family emergency. It happens. It's so. But then there's other times where, well, let's put it this way: we have to this point actually had to keel haul one of the guests that we had booked, who shall remain at this particular juncture nameless. But that's what happens with the Robin Hood. The captain just couldn't take it anymore. Once I guess he was too high, and the second time, he couldn't wake up. And the second time, there's just a deafening silence. So, you need those stringers. That's what we call them in the biz, referred to as stringers. So yeah, I totally get it. For sure. So, but the general mood on the set was uplifting and fun, and everyone had a good time, basically, for the most. And
oh yeah, man. I mean, these guys were all bewildered. I mean, they look like pirates. you know. So everybody fit the bill, man. It was fun.
But they weren't really, at least, well, some of them, I guess. So, anyways, yeah.
They looked like, man, there was people who I think really were missing legs, really missing arms. Like they just
sure.
pretty fit the bill.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There you go. All right. Well, Pirate Larry, I'm not sure if you've got anything to just say to all this. We've kind of opened things up here and headed out onto the looks like the oceans, the seas are pretty. Actually, nice sailing day today. Nice sailing day, I must say. So it's looking forward to the rest of what we're able to pull together here. But, yeah. Any thoughts on chess or Larry? Why haven't you been in one of these movies yet, or have you?
No, I'm too pirate for them. They'll figure me out. About 10 years from now, people will go, "Who was that guy?" And then they'll go, "Oh man, that was pretty cool stuff," you know. But right now, everybody's hip hopping and reggae and Bob Marley and dubstepping, and so you know all that stuff has to. That whole tide has to wash in and wash out, and then people look in the sand, and that's where they'll find me.
Gotcha.
Larry's the genuine article, man.
He's the genuine article, yeah, for sure. So, okay, well, let's get more direct and to the point here as far as all this this cryptocurrency, and I mean, you can use Bitcoin as an example, I guess, and but what we're really one of the things we'd like to focus on maybe today are just kind of, would you say, prototypes or alternatives. It's even been suggested that we address the scenario and explore the idea of a pirate coin of sorts based on blockchain technology. So, I mean, I'm not sure where you want to start. If you want to address that first, save that for a little later. But I know a lot of what we're going to be throwing out there today, it's going to, you know, the people that we'll be sharing this with, like the Halo Tech and I mean, where do you want to start? What's spoken on the colored wheel exactly?
Don't worry, man. I can lead you on this one. There is so much opportunity within Bitcoin, and I don't think people quite see it yet because it's not just banking. It's the fact that, you know, businesses can be run that can pay out automatic dividends to their shareholders. I mean, it's really just transparent accounting. You know, a lot of times businesses you can't look at their accounting. You can't look at how they handle their funds. Here it's all on the blockchain, right, for you to see. So there's going to be so many projects. They could just be a pirate radio project, for example. They pay out to their affiliates, and you can see all the payments to their affiliates. There could be a construction project that pays out to all the investors in the construction. Maybe the rentals, for example, pay out every month. So I see crypto, maybe not now, but within 5 to 10 years, if this thing continues in the direction that it's going, that these types of things will become a reality. It's important.
Absolutely. A lot of how central a feature or role does algorithm coding, if that's the right way of putting it, play in the whole setup and world of blockchain and cryptocurrencies?
Oh, you're saying like what algorithm each coin chooses and the security behind it and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, the payouts in particular, let's say. You just get on the payouts, so people are interested, well, gee, what's in it for me? And, like, you know, what do I get out of it? You wouldn't believe the number of times I've heard that question in to this point, being the acting, I guess, as the poster boy in some ways to like pirate radio podcasts and maybe like, you know, like a wider kind of venture as well. We'll see how that all plays out. But so basically, you know, how does that work out then with the use and integration of algorithms in as far as the guarantee under the smart contract principle or philosophy rather? You know, give us a bit of an overview of that. If you
with a coin, it always depends on how it's distributed. So, for example, if you distributed out the coin for free, and everybody who, for example, had a valid Reddit or a valid Facebook was able to get coins, or, you know, if you had some method, I guess, of distribution that was free, then people can't really say, well, what's in it for me? You know, they have coins already at their disposal if they just sign up. So it just depends on how you do it. Some people charge, they run these, I guess they call them ICOs, where they,
Yeah.
in it, it's like crowdfunding, and I see a place for that, but then there's also the problem with the fact that you're giving money to people who are anonymous, so that there's a lot of scams. And I myself had problems with people who crowdfunded on a project, and it's tricky to do it correctly.
Yeah.
But I it's the future in too. So
Yeah.
it just depends.
David, did I just hear you say award, like hand out, like free coin to people? Did I hear that correctly? Do I need to have my ears cleaned out here?
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to structure a project. You can hand out free coins. You can start an ICO where there's a fundraiser, like a crowdfund, or
pass.
you can do
We don't need that.
And when you do mining, you have to spend a little bit on the electricity to mine your coins. So I'd say that gives it a little bit of value to begin. But that does kind of push a lot of the distribution of the coins to the hands of the miners, which becomes a little centralized. So it really just depends on how you distribute your coins.
Yeah. Right, gotcha. Would you call it like a diverse portfolio? I'm just throwing these terms out there. I really have no idea what I'm talking about in an official sense, but would that make sense? Diverse.
Well, think about the way that some companies are. I mean, a lot of companies hold more than 50% of their stocks. If Facebook wanted to dump all of their stocks, they could bring the price down probably below $1 billion market cap. I mean, it really just depends on. Well, maybe not that bad, but I mean. You know what I mean? Cryptocurrency actually is probably better distributed than a lot of the companies that you see out there today. So, for a developer to hold 5 to 10% is not unreasonable. If members of the community who bought in hold a certain percentage, they might hold a few percent here and there. I think that the illusion in cryptocurrency is that it looks so much like penny stocks because so many of the currencies have such a low market cap, and there's not that much money flowing through crypto yet. I mean,
hang on, Bitcoin is Bitcoin penny stock?
It's close.
It has a market cap of 21 million coins.
Yeah, it has 20, but there. I think the market cap of Bitcoin is what, almost 15 billion, but that's not that much compared to other companies, right? I mean, if you look at the New York Stock Exchange, that's like a drop in the bucket. It's like pissing in the wind. We're talking about reinventing the financial system. I mean, if this was going to replace money, don't say billions, say like hundreds of trillions.
Yeah, the thing about that, and I want to come back to this whole business of penny stock in a minute too, because I'm sure there's probably a lot or significant number of listeners that have no idea what that even means, at least in a formal sense. So you want to maybe just unpack that in a moment or two. But diversity, once again, Charles Darwin, one of his, not that I'm a huge Charles Darwin fan necessarily, but I've read a few books, and there's certain things that jump out at you, and you work on separating the wheat from the chaff, if you follow what I'm getting at. And what he talked about, though, is that he said that it was key to survival of any species was diversity. And that bottom line is you diversify or die. So I would imagine, for me, looking at that, the same would apply when examining or taking into account what it is that we have or use as currency in the modern world, as well as what we can learn from by studying history too. But you pointed out, or I think tried to make the point, basically that, we're on the cutting edge, the cusp of something that could prove to be quite monumental. I think one of the adjectives we used in the introduction to today's episode was revolutionary, highly innovative, of course, too. So, but what do you what did this business sound like? Because why do so many people have in their heads that it's got to be just this? It's just we've got to totally do away with other forms of value throughout society. We just would have to do just the cryptocurrency only. Why is that? That's
just conditioning.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's just conditioning, because people are conditioned to only know one currency. Imagine you're 40 years old and you've been using the dollar your whole life, and you can't imagine what it's like to have those options at your disposal.
Yeah.
Or now all of a sudden houses are the same as assets, and cars are just assets, and they're all on a blockchain, and you can trade them at the click of a button. And I mean, it's not something people can wrap their minds around yet, but they're getting there. And the more people that get exposed to Bitcoin, they start saying, "Oh, wow, I didn't know you could do that."
Virtual currency. Virtual currency.
Yeah, it's notary on the blockchain basically. The cryptocurrency, it's more than that. It's that you can have assets, you can have notary, you can have money, and you can have signatures, like signed contracts, and all of these things contained in like a history, kind of. And even those types of things could be done peer-to-peer. Like me and you could do those, contracts, but the contract, like in Halo, for example, would be unbreakable. So this idea of an unbreakable contract is so foreign to people that I usually have to explain it like a couple times, to truly get people to understand what it means.
Right. That's where we get into the smart end of things, I guess. That a man or a woman's word is their bond. Their bond is their life. But yeah, so you could, if you don't mind, that's worth examining or exploring. A lot of people, and don't forget penny stocks too. We have to circle back around to that talking point.
Yeah,
actually here too. But,
I can brush up on that real quick. So the cryptocurrency markets have in common a lot with the penny stock markets. I don't know if you've ever seen The Wolf of Wall Street. I wasn't a fan of it personally, but it does
big movie.
Pretty much
big movie.
It was a big movie, and it kind of shows what penny stocks were, in a sense that basically they're these really cheap stocks that have a very low market cap, which means a lot of money can move the price really quickly.
Junk bonds,
and
dump those junk bonds there.
We're gonna get them back. So high. Buy low, sell high.
Exactly. Yeah. Buy low, sell high. Yeah. So the kind of thing with cryptocurrency is kind of like that, where the prices can be pushed around easy, and then that means the prices go up really quick, and then they come down just as fast. And I don't know. I wouldn't call it a scam, but I'd say that it's really hard for people who are investing to make sure that they're going to make money, because it's a gamble, and like the stock market is a gamble, but it's a slower gamble. You might make 10% a year, 20% a year, but in the penny stock industry you could make 500%, 1,000%. In crypto it's probably just as much or more. I mean, some coins have gone up 10, 20 times, 30 times, only to go back down 100 times. There was a coin years ago called Aurora coin that it was worthless and went to $100, and then it went all the way back down to be below $1. So it just happens, and unfortunately there's a lot of marketing in the cryptocurrency industry of people who, and this is really important to anybody who's listening, when there's a lot of people now entering the cryptocurrency industry that know that they only have to market to make money, that they're not actually developing anything. So they'll basically promise you a bunch of things, and they'll make a lot of lies, and they'll promise the moon and not deliver. And I'm going to make the argument that if you're ever going to invest in a currency, in Bitcoin or any alternative currency, make sure that you download the software, and make sure that that software is different, that it's unique, and that you can tell that they've actually been working on something, and that they've added something that you can physically use. Because if they haven't, I wouldn't invest in it.
I actually, speaking of scams and con jobs and the flim flam, I think is how you and Larry, the term you agreed on in your initial interview there, an exchange you had, that it's Cryptsy.com. Don't know if you've heard of them, but you have now. So I basically, they took me for $100, and I'll call them out. It's Cryptsy.com. If people just want to make a note of that, if ever they're thinking of, they got money to burn, just kind of laying around the house, nothing better to do with, than just So with the whole thing, watch out, folks. Here's a question: Is there any official body or any place where people, like as far as a complaints department, where people can issue or lodge their grievances in the event that they feel they've been fleeced or had, or that they've come out?
I would like to give you. I would like to argue, is there a complaints department in any industry? When the real estate industry collapsed, there was escrow agencies that were making away with millions of dollars, and they were not seeing criminal cases. They might see a civil case. Is the government held accountable for their actions? Is anybody held accountable for anything? That's the reason I made BitHalo in the first place. We'll circle back to that. But to answer your question better, you're dealing with people from all different kinds of countries. If I got screwed in my own project by some guys from China and a guy from Canada and a guy from Korea, when push comes to shove, what am I going to do? Am I going to file a lawsuit in 3 different countries? No.
No, you'll probably just, when you get the chance to call them out on your podcast. At least I know that's what I would do. So, that's worth the $100. That's worth the $100 loss. I can absorb that, not a problem.
Well, they didn't have good reputations to begin with, and I think that this really just means that when you deal with somebody, you do your homework, especially in the crypto industry, because you don't really know who you're dealing with, and I think that people are just genuinely. The problem is, as a society, we have so many trusting people. Everybody just trusts everybody. They trust their money. They trust their car. They trust their computer.
$100, man. I thought I had done enough homework, but I had put some time into it, but apparently not enough. Just to and the thing too, like living out of the country in South Korea, and no spy phone, and I'm not sure how else. We just did a quick little transfer from the bank there, and I was kind of worried, like, shit, man, like all these bastards haven't gone in there and totally like drained everything from my actual account.
Well,
so thank God that didn't happen. I guess it could.
Well, here's how the major problem, and what you're talking about with Cryptsy and cryptocurrency exchanges. It's actually very simple. Bitcoin is anonymous, okay? So there's no names on the account. So therefore, if you trade Bitcoin on a website where the website is holding that money, then they can claim that they were hacked and steal your money outright legally, and then say that they were not responsible for the hack.
There you
so
go.
It's just a cop out. Now, and there's already been about 10 different exchanges that have gone insolvent. So basically the rule of thumb is, when you invest in Bitcoin, you do not keep your money on online services ever. You keep them on your computer, and you can do that. You can send it to an account that you control, that you have. But if you put your money online, you can use it to trade, maybe do a couple trades, trade one coin for another. But when you finish your trade, take the money off and put it on your computer, because at any time those exchanges could disappear with the money and claim that they were hacked and it wasn't their fault. And that will not stop until there's what's called a decentralized exchange, which is just basically a peer-to-peer exchange. My software already does it. BitHalo does it. But the thing is it's not. It uses double deposit, and it's not as fast as an exchange would be, so people just aren't using it. It's just not popular enough yet. But it will be when people learn their lesson, and when they lose enough money, then they're going to start looking at decentralized options.
The intent with this whole business regarding Cryptsy.com was not to store the digital credit via their services online. The problem is that as quickly as that money left the bank account, they registered, and the wife got a receipt, and this basically a confirmation that it had been received, and there's just some funny stuff going on there, and a lot of just kind of jiggery pokery.
Jack, Cryptsy is completely insolvent. They disappeared.
Yeah.
You can't even. They don't even web pages up anymore.
They
stole.
Yeah.
They stole like millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin, alternative currencies. I mean, the Cryptsy is one of the biggest scandals of 2016. So you're preaching to the choir, bro.
Right.
I've lost 3 Bitcoins to an exchange called MintPal. I lost 3 Bitcoins on Beater. The owner of Beater himself screwed me in a project. That was before he went insolvent, and he stole $7 million from his own users.
Oh.
So I mean, man, this is just, you're just preaching to the choir. These companies, they spring up and they disappear. And I'm just saying, take decentralized options
Sure.
over storing your money online.
Yeah, well, I will follow your advice to a T the next time if I do decide to embark on such a similar personal journey. Just a quick little addendum though to things here. Interestingly enough, I had crossed paths and come into contact with this one individual via blab.im, an online video conferencing platform that also just happened to go tits up not so long ago as well. And but he claimed to be the. This is after the fact that I'd already basically I'd aired my grievances over on that network to a certain extent, and this guy kind of popped up out of the blue, I guess, and claimed to be one of the head reps for Cryptsy.com out of Canada. He also, at whatever point, kind of just added his little aside that he happened to just coincidentally be a Freemason. So this is not great PR for Freemasons, clearly, and this kind of shenanigans they tend to get up to from time to time, fleecing the general public to the tune of how many ever millions that that was that you quoted there earlier. So, but isn't that something? So, got you though. I hear you loud and clear there, and fully. That's enough of that. So, once burnt, twice shy. And in the event, once again, just to repeat and to reiterate that if look, assuming there's a opportunity to try it again, give another kick at the can, that we'll definitely follow your advice a lot more directly. I think that in fact the interview that you did with Larry was that was after this whole thing went down, so that didn't have really any impact other than I thought I was schooled enough. I'd give it a chance, and as you said, dude, it's all about risk taking. That's a great point that you made earlier. It's important that people hear that out, of course, too. Any form of entrepreneurship is it's all about risk taking, and just if you can't you have to be able to take some chances from time to time. Sometimes it pays off, other times it doesn't. The thing that really miffed me, though, was my personal details, including passport information and photograph with, hey, it's me and I'm here. And yeah, because I rarely do I ever put pictures of myself like out online or what have you. So that was a bit of it. The privacy, they should have their asses sued. But as you say, like, they've gone insolvent. They've just been scattered to the four winds. Completely good luck finding anyone. I guess I just gave. I was like, fuck it, time to move on. Bigger and better things, obviously, other to focus on here. So, but Pirate Larry, I think unless he's dozed off there in his grog, hopefully how's his condition there? Is he holding up?
It's good grog tonight, Jeffy. Yeah,
the fair wenches, finally, she's buxom.
And the fine wenches here at Howlin' Wolf, so I can understand why those howl. So it's nice. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to ask David's idea of where things are now, which I think you've covered with a little bit of the penny stock arcade that cryptocurrency is looking like, and then. Why are the big banks getting into all of this stuff?
Yeah,
and,
exactly. There we go.
And how can we use peer-to-peer to really create our own transactions and get away from central banks, central anything? That's kind of what I wanted to ask David about today.
So I can take it from there.
Go ahead.
Right, yeah. The general consensus among a lot of the top developers in Bitcoin is that it was probably developed by members of the U.S. government or multiple governments, I guess, and that they were probably handled. Some people were inadvertently handled in order to contribute code, probably not realizing that they were contributing to the project. With that said, I think that there is major benefit for governments to switch over to cryptocurrency technology, and this is more like a breeding ground. Consider it the same as the internet.com boom, where nobody knew what the internet was going to become. I think that we can safely say that all telecom and all internet is totally controlled by large-scale government agencies, and that the results that you get in a lot of search engines are controlled and are controlled well. So I think that the thing is what we have in Bitcoin is positioning, and there's a lot of different people that are trying to position themselves into the public's mind so that the public doesn't forget, for example, things like unbreakable contracts or pegging technologies or other things that are really useful for keeping Bitcoin what it's supposed to be, which is free, freedom. We're fighting for people's freedom. The internet no longer is a place for freedom of speech. It was when it started, and then it became not that way because, governments guided it and put their hands in it very early. They're the ones that started it, first of all. The internet started in military. So it's not like that the government doesn't produce good technology. They do. A lot of the stuff that they make is wonderful, actually, and could be very useful to the people. However, when they get something out to the people, their goal is usually to control it so that people don't have their unabashed freedom. And that's a bad thing because freedom is always good. And if you have free currencies, you have, laissez-faire capitalism, you have things the way they should be, where people use their own discernment, let the buyer beware, and, help the poor, and help distribute funds and everything correctly and not just go in the hands of the few ultra super powerful. So that's kind of like my long-winded answer to it. It was probably developed in the government somewhere, and there's now people that are doing their own thing with it, and it's becoming independent and peer-to-peer. And our goal is to make sure that it stays peer-to-peer and that people will always have their own alternative solutions. So hey, you don't want to use the government's coin, use this coin, use that coin, and to keep those options open and to always make it possible for people to exit any currency, that no matter how corrupt it becomes.
Larry, is there anything else that did he manage to address all of your concerns there? I know, once again, just this whole business of the powers that be, the dollar does not seem to be in the greatest shape. Fiat currency, state-backed paper money, funny money, as some people who are known to call it. It's interesting because look what happened in India just the other day. Here's a great an issue you might want to address that you probably fell onto your radar at some point there, just over the last little 10 days or so. But what was it? India's Minister of Commerce or Economics or head of the economy department pulled a switch, I guess, like one night, and suddenly just said, "Okay, everybody, it's all digital currency now." Stuff like that. Is that how it works?
They started confiscating gold.
They started confiscating gold.
But
what about their take on digital currency, though?
Well, that was after. No, but hold it. The push was they wanted to take away the rupee or something, didn't they, and just make it all electronic? I think that was the deal.
Not surprised.
You didn't.
Yeah, like I said, this is all positioning. Everything's flaunting, positioning, little power plays. There's always the silent war going on.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's people silently trying to get the best technology through. It's just very reminiscent of the days when Tesla, he wanted free energy to the people. He knew many different ways to give people free energy. Unfortunately, he lost the war, but not forever, right? He lost it for that period, this period, but maybe his technologies will see a comeback. You can't kill an idea. Ideas are immortal. So as long as we can make sure that our voices are heard and our technology is seen, and the beauty of cryptocurrency is this is the expression of finance and contract and agreement through technology. So it's like 3D printing. We can prove using technology that's open source how to secure money, secure finances, and other things. And actually, in the case of cryptocurrency, with the certain technologies, you actually can completely mitigate risk. For example, when you have an agreement in person today, if me and you formed an agreement, we don't have any trust in our agreement. I have to trust you pretty much on faith, and you have to trust me on faith. But within, cryptocurrency, for example, like BitHalo, both parties put up a deposit and can't break their end of the agreement. So it's kind of like we both have a gun to each other's head, and if either of us lie to each other, we both perish. So it's kind of like reverting the day, like everything back to the pirate day, where you were a man of your word, and that mattered, and you had to honor your word.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly how you've got things. You are you not? I'm not sure if you're the innovator with respect to these digital smart contracts or not. If you've been working together with colleagues in developing things, but
innovator. I'm the only coder to BitHalo. There is nobody else, and it's over like maybe 40,000 lines of code, all custom. Nothing's cloned from any other code base. But it's on the client side, so it's leveraging what Bitcoin can do, what alternative currencies can do. It's not its own coin per se, unless you bring up BitBay, which BitBay in that case is, and that's a whole nother set of technologies with the pegging technology.
Right.
And
we'd like to talk to Larry about that in just a couple minutes as well too. But before we do that, you mentioned Bit and the Halo. Bit versus Black. I guess if you can just clarify how those two are distinguished and what it was required for you to put those together and how it's applied.
Well, it's pretty much that Bitcoin is one of the best, it's the original, and therefore there needed to be a BitHalo. However, it's slower because Bitcoin confirmations take about 10 minutes, and BlackCoin was the first completely proof-of-stake coin, which means that they don't waste tremendous amounts of electricity and energy with those big mining rigs that, Bitcoin needs, because just for the listeners here, in order to produce new coins on a Bitcoin network or any type of cryptocurrency network, you need to hold a competition. So in Bitcoin, the competition for the new coins is solving a math problem, and then the first one that solves it gets the new coins. Whereas that ends up burning a lot of energy because they end up needing to use a lot of electricity, and then they need like a supercomputer, and then they need to be part of big mining pools where there's other people competing to win these math problems because it gets increasingly competitive. And that's a waste of energy, a complete waste of energy. It's like billions of dollars of energy down the drain. So there's better ways to hold these competitions, which is just by random chance. So we can hold competitions of random chance by pretty much basing it off of an interest, that you get interest on your money every year. So like you'll get 1% interest or 5% interest or whatever the coin sets. BlackCoin was the first completely, fully proof-of-stake coin. And then it got copied so much. It was such a popular coin. And it's faster. So for me, for doing contracts, I at the time when I first developed the software, I wanted something faster so that I could test quickly and do contracts nice and quickly. We can do a contract from the start to the finish in BlackHalo within, maybe 15 minutes, which is awesome.
Let me get this straight, David. This Bit and Blackcoin Halo technology you've developed is largely a means of facilitating these digital blockchain transactions. It provides a built-in safety firewall, safety mechanism of sorts, primarily. Is that right?
Right. So the Halo technology. Are you familiar with how Halo works? The smart contract?
No. Maybe we should back up a little bit and kind of just map that out a little more clearly.
Yeah, because I kind of briefly summarized it, but let me make it simple for you. So smart contracts. I was the first person in the world to do them, and especially to have them working in a piece of software that you could download and use. And Bitcoin is just basically, sending and receiving money. What a lot of people don't realize is that when you send money in Bitcoin, you do it with a signature, kind of like your signature on a piece of paper, but this is a digital signature. So what it means is that you can create a contract in Bitcoin. Like, I promise that I will, mow your lawn, or I promise that I will sell you my guitar, stuff like that. You can do digital contracts. But the thing is it's hard. A lot of people were struggling with, well, how can we enforce an agreement on Bitcoin? And I had discovered a way to do it using deposits. So basically, like, me and you, we put our money in a joint account. Okay, and it's all in one transaction. It goes in simultaneously. We have our money in a joint account, and we both put a deposit. So, like, if you were going to sell a guitar for $100, you as the seller would actually put up a little bit of collateral, because I want to make sure that you are going to send it to me as promised, and that you're not going to send it to me screwed up. And I, as the buyer, am also going to put up collateral, including an advanced payment. So I'll put up like a couple $100. So now when you send me the guitar, I can't steal it from you, because why would I spend $200 on a guitar that's worth $100? So I have to sign off on my end. I have to sign off, and you have to sign off in order for us to get our deposits back. Likewise, have you given me the wrong guitar? It wasn't as described, and I said, hey, this isn't what we agreed to. Then it's pretty much you cancel, and you let me return the guitar. And at no point can we screw each other, because if I screw you over, or if you screw me over, then we both lose money. So think of it like we both have a gun to each other's head, and if either of us lie to each other, we both perish. It should then be added that the funds, they when you break a contract, and when neither of you can come to an agreement, there is no middleman. There's no government. There's no judges, lawyers. There's no jury. And one of my, major epiphanies was, oh, you know what? What always happens, and people go to the jury, but the jury doesn't know anything about whether or not the guilty party is really guilty. I mean, they don't know. It's their guess. They're totally guessing. In some of the cases that you see in the United States, the whole innocent before proven guilty it's just not true. I mean, the people are in the United States court are constantly thrown in jail without any evidence at all. And it's just bullshit. And I think that, there's a judge and a jury. They're just totally biased. And this eliminates them. This just bypasses it. You don't need that. You don't need that, because the enforcement is built into the contract. And historically, all contracts have been enforced with a gun. In other words, behind every lawyer is a gun, because if you don't pay your judgment, even if it's a civil judgment, they could, garnish your wages. They could try to do something with your house. And if you continue to ignore and not comply with the law, then they could send cops to your house. And if you don't comply with the cops, they shoot you. So behind every lawyer is a gun. And this is the first peaceful contract in history, since the enforcement of the contract is the money. Because if you don't honor the contract, the money just blows up. It doesn't go to me. It doesn't go to the Bitcoin network. Unlike dollars, I mean, sure, you can set a dollar on fire, and that's basically what this is you send the Bitcoins to an unspendable address. It's the same as blowing them up. So if we don't agree, we both lose.
You've also worked into your algorithms, something where you have, with the bonded end of things, that from the get-go you put in maybe let's say like $100 to kind of prove that you'll live up to your end of the bargain. But then over time, your bond rating improves, so that you don't have to continually offer as high a percentage on the amount that you're using as part of your transaction, or if you follow.
Yeah, correct. So in BitHalo and BlackHalo, there is these decentralized markets, very similar to Tor and how basically a free internet operates. There is no servers. So it's all peer-to-peer, and people just post orders of things that they want to buy or sell, or including employment contracts, bartering contracts. They could trade cryptocurrency coins. Really any agreement that you can think of can be done. I mean, you can do futures, binary options, anything. So what with the with the system of having these markets, we have a reputation system, because we can actually check whether or not your account has been involved in default, because it's all on the history, on the Bitcoin history. That's the beauty of Bitcoin, is it's totally open. You can just read the history. So we can read whether or not your specific account was involved in defaulting contracts, or whether or not all their contracts went through successfully. And if we can see that you've had a long-standing account that's had a lot of contracts go through, 100% of your contracts have gone through, you've run 30, 40 contracts, well, I don't think I would require you to put up a bond that would be that high. Maybe for a $100 guitar, I'd only make you put up a $20 bond. And that's favorable to merchants, because if you're selling a lot of guitars, you don't want to have to put up an equal bond for every guitar you're involved in. But also consider that if you're selling guitars, you might make thousands of dollars a month, but you might only sell so many guitars a day. So it's okay to put up the bond anyway, because you're not going to be selling your full bank account on a given day. You'll get your deposit back to put into a new deal. So as long as the daily volume of what you're selling isn't exceeded by the deposits, you should be fine.
Oh, all right. So here we've got about almost 30 minutes left to the 90-minute weekly allocation. The way we run things here, and let's not forget today is Chinese New Year in Korea as well. So I've actually got, as I believe I was sharing with you earlier, I've got family commitments to head to here as far as the Rogues Gallery end of things is concerned. But Larry, you're going to be able to. I'm not sure what your schedule's looking like there. You're probably still picking up some broken glass and who knows what, making sure your electricity stays online and all kinds of things. But in the meantime, with the 30 minutes or so that we do have left before wrapping things up, let's, if you don't mind, well, a couple of things, Larry. Let's hear from you regarding this business of your idea that where you're trying to peg value to time, and how that might work its way into something like what we're discussing here today, and what David has a fair deal of expertise in. Secondly, Larry, as well, we got to maybe, if we could, I'm not sure where you want to do this or not. We could do it now, or we could save it for the after show discussion regarding pirate coin in particular, and really focusing on that for even just a few minutes would be great. But go ahead.
Well, let me just mention that I had a private conversation with Bill over at minds.com.
Oh, great.
And he said that
not John. You're not John. You're talking Bill.
I'm sorry, John.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
John, over at you were on the conversation,
yeah, right? That's why I was confused.
Yeah, well, I was confused. I'm sorry, Bill. It was John. I'm sorry, John. But he said that every view is considered a point, and that's what they have as their value. And there are places in the code, it's all open source, where you could do a plugin and take a cryptocurrency and plug it into that time value or that value of views. And he would love to see stuff like that happen. So that may be something we would look at for pirate coin. The idea that I have ultimately is that you create a coin that's valued on time, and the time has different values. Some people are going to school, that has a certain value. Some people are watching TV, playing video games, that has value. I've got to go let the cat in, that has value to the cat. But whatever we do with time, now some people are brain surgeons, that has a different value. And so that can be a free and open market. But to create a coin that counts people's time and what they do, that is totally anonymous, that, it frees you for your time. And you're paid for your time. So that was, that's an idea that I've been working on. But David, tell me, of all practical things, what seems practical?
Okay, so yeah, there's a question of what can and cannot be done with cryptocurrency. And interesting thing about time banks, I've had this idea laying around for a while now, which is I think that there's a way to do a time bank that realistically feels like like when you spend an hour, that you really are spending an hour. And my idea for that is to have maybe you could do a coin where when you send money, depending on how much you send, it requires that much time to reach its destination. So if somebody's doing 8 hours of work for you, it takes 8 hours for the funds to arrive in their account. If somebody's doing, 25 hours of work for you, it takes 25 hours for the funds to arrive in your account. You know what I mean? So I was thinking of doing it like that, where the amount you send takes that amount of time to be received. Therefore, the faster coins would be cheaper, and makes sense. It matches your time, because the most important thing in life is time. That's the one thing you can't get back.
Are you following here on this one, Larry?
Larry, I was saying that the amount of time to send a currency. So if you send 10 coins, it takes 10 hours. If you send 20 coins, it takes 20 hours. And that's how you could technologically depict.
Right. Somebody's time.
Yeah.
The time value that they're spending, right?
There is ways.
We've got a few things going on here. One is that it looks like there's people saying that we've been knocked offline, believe it or not. So have you ever, I'm not sure how many interviews you've done in the past with other programs or podcasts or what have you, but have been a few? If so,
Yeah,
has this been a common occurrence?
There was something you were saying about, the 30 minutes. We can just knock through them. If you got a few points on your list, we'll just knock through them quickly.
Well,
if you want.
Yeah. Basically, let's see now. There's one of the points what is going to draw to people's attention here quickly is that we're hoping to Christina Taft Connor from she's basically well, we'll talk about Christina in just a moment here too, a moment or two from now. So, but what do you feel is the most urgent and critical for the public to know as far as all of this is concerned? What do you regard as a priority in developing one's own virtual currency, whether it's David Coin or Mexico Coin or you name it?
Yeah, I can give you a couple of the fundamentals. So the first one is unbreakable contracts. We already have that.
Checkmark.
So now it's checkmark. The next one is notary. There is a lot of coins working on notary and colored coins, so I'm not working on that because I know it's already being worked on, but that's checkmark. The next one is the most important, in my opinion, and that is a store of value that can be valued at anything that the community wants it to be. So if the community wants it to be worth $10 a coin, they can force it on the exchanges to be worth that much. If they want it to be worth $5 a coin, they can forcefully make it that price on the exchange without using money, using technology alone. And there's a way to do that, and it's called decentralized pegging, or we like to call it a rolling peg. And
pirates can get behind. They can dig rolling pegs. We totally relate to rolling pegs. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. It'd be a rolling peg. So the way that the rolling peg works is that basically the fundamental law of value is supply. The supply and demand. Gold, for example, you guys were saying India took the gold. Well, that's because gold is probably, not only is it valuable, but it's in short supply because the governments like to hang on to all of it for themselves. So therefore, low supply, high demand, extremely useful material. Can be used in all kinds of electronic applications. I've heard that it can be made into batteries that never even run out, these like gold nanotube batteries or something. So gold is just amazing, and probably discover new things about it every day. So there you go. Low supply, high demand. Now imagine if you had a coin where there was only 10 coins available. Well, the coin's going to be worth more than a couple bucks a coin. I mean, it might be worth a couple $100 a coin or something like that. So, the supply can match the demand. So what we do is we freeze. This is in BitBay. It's being developed right now. It's not ready yet, but it'll be out this year. And what we're going to be doing is controlling the supply by freezing and unfreezing coins. So by being able to freeze them and unfreeze them, we don't just freeze them for one party, but we freeze them for everybody. So if half my account was frozen, half your account is frozen, half of Larry's account is frozen. And because it's fair for everyone, you get to, the value of the coins that you're holding, the ones that you can spend, is much higher. Now, this is what's interesting. If you bought in early, then what you have, which is frozen, can actually be used later if it unfreezes. So people who buy in late, they don't get this unfair advantage where all of a sudden everything unfreezes and they magically get coins in their account out of nowhere. It doesn't work like that. It's totally fair. So if you had coins that you bought that were frozen, and then they've been frozen for maybe a year, and then all of a sudden they unlock and then they're available for you to use, well, most likely they're going to be available at a much better price. So that's the big fundamental, is making sure that price can be controlled and that it's not fixed, because nobody really wants to invest in a fixed asset. They want it to be able to go up and down, but they want it to go up and down in a way that's not like penny stocks. They want it to go up in a way that's community approved, that everybody involved in the community wants it to go in that direction.
Is this where we then come up against the whole and find ourselves embracing and promoting the open source philosophy then within the context of this whole business, blockchain, and the cryptocurrency, crypto coin, what have you? That is that
absolutely?
Yeah, and as well. And if you would just unpack that for us, then, if you know.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and that's the thing. People think that, if it's open source, then you can just copy and paste, and then it'll, nothing will be worth anything. But that's the thing about these pegging technologies, these decentralized rolling pegs, is that they have the ability to hold value in anything. So now John could issue John coin, and he'd back it with his own dollars. Maybe John only has $100 to his name. No problem. So he freezes all the coins. He's got, his $100 up on the market, and each coin's worth $1 a coin. He backs it with his own money. If he flakes on his own coin, then somebody else comes in and replaces him to back it with their own money. So there is this whole thing about open source, where now it's more just about the popularity of the project. What's the project doing? How active is it? How active is the community and stuff like that? And it becomes much more like the majority's kind of, the people that are socially involved in it are the ones that get to look at the technology, get to use it, to decide which ones they find best. And I think that the wisdom of the crowd will win in this case, because it's going to favor technologies which do the most for them.
How much time and effort would it take then, in your estimation, if, say, you were going to launch a David coin, or pirate coin, just X coin,
Well, there are companies that you can pay like a Bitcoin or so, and they will launch your coin. I can send you the link later. There's a company that you can pay. They'll launch your coin. They'll mine it. They'll generate the amount of supply that you want. They'll choose which coin you want to fork. If you want to fork BlackCoin or Bitcoin, and you can tell them.
Forking.
And they'll do
There's
all
another
that
term
for you.
There's another term that we'll have to quickly, before you, just as you wrap up here, want to address. But yeah, continue, please, and we'll head into forking.
Forking is just basically, because it's open source, you can copy and paste that code and make it into your own coin, and you would just change the port. So you're going to change the port that everybody listens on. You might change the other details as well. You can change the supply and other little things to make it kind of your own. And so then you have your own project, essentially. You have your own coin,
right,
your own network that's all your own peer-to-peer network, which is pretty cool. This is one of the first times
Well,
really ever that anybody's been able to do something like this.
somebody that knew that what they were doing, would it take them how long? A day to launch something like that? A week? A month? A year?
It depends if they have a service. If they have a service that's going to launch for them, it's quick. And I think that the service will even host the nodes that'll get it started so they can start to get the blockchain rolling and start to get transactions kind of flowing and stuff like that. If you launch it yourself, expect at least a couple of weeks of work. However, I would say a lot of the work that you're doing is going to be in prep work, finding the right people, really deciding what you want, how you want to do the initial distribution, because remember what I said, you can give them out for free, you can do mining, you can do a fundraiser, and you really have to know the condition of the market, the temperament of the investors, and what people are really interested in, what they're tired of, and there is so much ground to be broken in crypto. So, this is just the party's just getting started, man.
How really big of a team? How big of a team would you need then just to launch your own indie coin?
You need one good developer usually, but you need, outside of the developer, you need the people for the community aspect of it, managing it, getting new people into the community, marketing, which is huge.
Right.
Marketing. I mean, some people would argue that marketing is more important than technology, but the only people that would argue that are the people that are looking for money. Yeah, sure. If you're looking for money, you can promise the moon and deliver nothing. Yeah. So, it just depends on who you ask. I'm sure that there's some people who will tell you that marketing is everything.
Mm-hmm. Ideally, you would think too, one would want a very, extremely tight and stable infrastructure in place before setting forth on the the balance of the journey, I guess.
The key there is researching coins, deciding which coins you like, what you want for your coin, and also, what you want your wallet to look like and everything. And if it's coding, if you're talking about actual coding that is unique to your coin, then we're not talking a couple weeks. It could be anything. It could be a month. It could be, I've been working on my stuff for 3 years, and I'm going to be stuck doing the pegging for another year, So it just really just depends on what you want. Because if you want dev work, good luck. Good developers are hard to find. It's even harder to find a reliable developer. You can't outsource the work because the outsourcers, I've tried this, they suck.
Right.
They can't contribute anything. So forget India, forget all that. Yeah, if you want to do PHP, like a little website, sure, go to India. But if you want to get cryptocurrency apps developed, unfortunately, you got to go to the top guys. And the problem is they're all involved in projects. Like I myself have been involved in a project. I can't take on Pirate Coin, but I could guide you in the right direction and certainly tell you where you could get it all set up and going. And then when I finish all my projects that I'm done with this year, I could probably help add something to your code base, like if you wanted a time release payments and stuff like that, and each coin is a different time value. If I finish everything with Halo, we can revisit that.
Sure.
We can talk about that later.
But
I'd say start with something people can just buy and sell and trade. And the secret, man, is just don't screw people over. Don't give yourself 100% coin, and just trick people and say, and make it worth what it's not. No, just give it out fairly. Make sure it's really evenly distributed, that everybody's got, feels like they're a part of the coin and a part of the community, and they don't feel tricked, because that's the big deal in cryptocurrency. When people see honest projects that are really running and they feel like it's really cool and exciting, then they get that spark that makes them want to come and be a part of your community and be part of, Pirate Radio, or whatever it is that you guys are working on.
I think Pirate Coin, the captain, has talked about that. Other people across the ship, other crew members have discussed it, and it's definitely a topic for discussion. So, here's an idea. How about this? Something that just someone here handed me on a note, actually. Thank you, by the way. Buy one, get one free, or get one. Buy one, get one free. Why not? I mean, it's like a two for one kind of deal, I guess. But for promotional? It's just total promotion, of course. And see how has that ever been tried, or has anyone ever heard of? The
temperament of cryptocurrency sometimes, that when they hold these fundraisers, they'll give bonuses to the people that come in early. But just remember that the way that these things are structured, a lot of the people in the cryptocurrency industry want experienced developers because they want to see things built out that the way they are promised. So therefore, you have to come up with, instead of, in my opinion, if you don't have a developer, come up with a business model.
Right.
Whereas maybe affiliates, like you have an affiliate network and then people get paid through their affiliates or whatever, and investors get a portion of that, like that. You just, something like that. You want, with like a minimum number that they'd have coins that they'd have to hold, and then you pay the affiliates, and then you pay the people that invested, something like that. You want something that you can run as a business and not as a coin, because if you have to be really careful if you promise features to a coin that don't exist and you don't have that development experience and you don't have developers, you're screwing yourself and your investors. So really what you want to do with your distribution, I think people would be interested if you just gave out the coins for free to like a verified list. So they have to verify with their a Reddit profile with really good karma, perhaps. Maybe they have to talk to you and verify who they are. They can still be anonymous, but maybe they talk to you on talks or whatever, and they reach out or whatever. So you have to have a way that you can build like a list to do really fair distribution. I think there's a few coins that have tried that. NEM, I think, was a coin that did a lot of distribution on Bitcoin Talk, and then they built this really long list of people who had signed up, and they all got their. Well, actually, they pre-sold their coins, so they did charge something, but it wasn't much. So you could always charge a little bit to come in the door, but it could be like nominal. You could
NAM coin, was that the product that you mentioned? And if whoever it was, have they managed to maintain their value to this point? And
oh hell, man, they're in the top 10. In fact, I screwed up. I had it. I'd held it for 3 years, and I sold it, with a profit of from maybe $100. I made like $4 or $5 grand, and I said, oh, that's great, I'm going to sell it. And the next week, it goes up tenfold, and I would have had like 40 grand. I'm like, oh no. So it happens, but I mean, I can't complain. Made money, and the coin's doing very well.
It's so fascinating. That's the thing that just with this experience with Crypsia, just because I've been hearing a lot about, just from an investor's standpoint, that alone, like a gold rush of sorts, I suppose, and once again taking some risks on that end of the equation, but there's as I agree. I think there's a lot of potential for sure, but there's certain checks and balances, and I think what you've got together here is just amazing, and more people need to know about it, of course, too, with the smart contracts in particular, the bonding, that whole the philosophy and system, the way that you've got that incorporated, and that you use that. I guess just that's your kind of, what do you say, MO.
The Halo stuff. And the thing is with that is, I think a lot of people get confused and they think, oh, it's like, they think it's a coin, or they think that that Halo is BlackCoin or BitBay or coin, but the Halo was designed to work on any platform. It was designed to work on any coin. Although I do only give it to select communities, because those communities, they also get their unique features, like they have their own special features. BitBay had pegging, and the black coins have the a cold staking mechanism, and they were going to get a decentralized micro trader. I'm still working on whether or not that, at this point though, that feature, I need to really look at it seriously and decide whether or not anybody's going to use it, because decentralized exchanges, I've noticed, have really not caught on. And it's a hell of a lot of work to build it out. But I mean, I can tell you that the idea of the unbreakable contract is meant to work on any coin.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's you need. It's critical. You need it. And of course, too, a lot of people. I mean, one of the things I had in mind is based on the literature I'd been reading up to that point, is putting together multiple wallets, of course, to store your. To store your credits, essentially, right? Although I've even heard now too that there's technology in place, maybe based on a Wi-Fi, as we refer to it here on the Robinhood, a Wi-Fi kind of deal where they come around and just through the air, the ether, essentially sniffing out these wallets. Now, is that true or not? That they can, with the people that really kind of got their command and in the know as far as technology is concerned, the hackers, they can come around and do that? You don't even have to be plugged into the internet or anything. They can sniff out your wallet.
No. I mean, hackers. Think of it this way: your wallet has a bunch of passwords in it, or maybe just one password in it. But your wallet is basically just a little password. In order for them to get that, they would need to somehow get access to that file. So really, the only people that are going to get your wallet are people that have access to your computer. Now, some wallets are web-based, but they're web-based where you type in a password, but it's only really on the client side, almost like logging into an email.
Not good. Not as you made clear earlier. Not good at all.
No, not good. But if they don't store it on their server, it's okay.
Yeah,
you see, if they don't
huge trust factor there.
Funds, yeah, that's the thing. You have to trust that maybe what if they changed the code when you weren't looking, and now you're logging in, and then all of a sudden
forget
you're logging in on their
not for me. That definitely would not be for me. And
yeah, so you see what I'm saying? So the best way to do it where you think of it like a bank. Where would you rather, if you knew that you could have your bank at home where you could store your money under your mattress, you'd do it. If you knew it was secure. So think of it like a pirate. Where do you keep your rubies? Where do you keep your diamonds and jewels and emeralds? You keep them all in a treasure chest, right?
Yeah.
And that treasure chest is with you, and you've hid it somewhere where only you know where it is. Now here's something interesting. In the Halo software, this makes it a little bit fun. Is you can actually hide your money inside of an image. So you could have a picture of a treasure chest, and the money would actually be hidden inside of the image. It's called steganography, where you change the little things in the image that are completely unnoticeable to the human eye, but you change it enough so that there's a hidden message inside of it, and you need to decrypt the image in order to get the message out. So it's kind of cool because you can make your account into a picture.
QR code, kind of QR code type pixelation.
No, it's totally different. It's like, imagine a picture of a cat or a picture of your family.
Right.
But somewhere in that picture, it's just hidden. It's like hidden in the image, and you need to be able to decrypt the image. But it looks like a normal image. You would never be able to tell that there's money stashed in there. One
of the last questions here is simply just direct and to the point, although just just a very general sense too, of course, is hypothetically speaking, if you were to ballpark things, like you're talking about, good developers are hard to find, let's not offshore or outsource the job or jobs, which hopefully wouldn't that be great if yes, who knows how wide open that might prove in the long term. But what we could do, speaking, I'll have to talk to other people in the crew later too, of course, as well as the captain, see what he has in mind exactly. But cost-wise and time investment, but an estimate, just a guesstimate, roughly ballparking things to get a digital currency launched. What would you end up having to pay? What would someone, just the average person, the investor, entrepreneur, visionary type individual or group, just $1,000 for I don't know, 3 days, who knows?
Just to launch. Okay, there's this. I'll send you the link later. I don't remember their prices, but there's a service that does everything from the ground up, and they're like maybe 700, maybe to $1,000. I don't remember, but it's maybe it's less. Maybe it's even like $300.
Wow. Oh, wow. David.
Launching
a
coin is pretty easy.
Wow, that is so cool. That is so great that we actually got that ballpark in there, because when you're free later down the road, you're saying that you might be able to help out, listeners. Well, as you've said, you're happy to help out and advise, and from a standpoint of advisory, that kind of capacity for the time being. But you're going to have a little more of a free schedule within the next 6 months, year, or something like that. And then maybe we could talking about this a little more as far as bringing both these contacts that you have and the people you recommend, and then yourself as well, and kind of working together on something that would in the end hopefully prove to be effective and ultimately maybe even a force to be reckoned with. Who knows?
Well, I can't attach my name to other projects right now.
Right.
But I can I can definitely, obviously, your friend Larry's, and I can always give you the advice and point you in the right direction. And you never know what happens when my time clears up with work and I'm finished with everything.
Right.
Well, maybe I would have the time for smaller projects.
Is
I've been offered a lot of projects since I started this.
I'd imagine,
Unfortunately,
of course.
I had to turn them all down.
Right.
So I've turned down some jobs that pay well over probably maybe several $100,000 a year, and I've had to turn them down just to finish my obligation here in BitBay, which I'm working for free. I got money paid up front, but then the people who started the project just disappeared and kind of screwed everybody, including me. And yeah, they tried to drag my name in the mud, and while they did it, which really sucked. So
this is what I was going to ask you, David, because when you're saying that, it's like, well, is this because for time reasons, or is it for legal reasons, like with having your name attached? And
I don't care about legal stuff. Yeah. But it's more about honor. I have to honor my word to my current projects, and really just for my own personal self. I've learned of something really, I think, important, which is when you make a promise, including to yourself, you have to obligate it. You have to follow through with it, or else you'll go for the rest of your life remembering all the things that you started but didn't finish. So I just have to finish the things that I started working on, and then I'll feel probably like a giant weight has been lifted off my shoulder, like a free bird. I'll be like, okay, great, I don't owe anybody anything now. And it'd be a wonderful feeling to be finished with my current projects and know that my babies are born, I guess. It's kind of like raising a kid, when they're 18 that they leave the house. But it's not, you don't need them to leave the house, but it's like, oh, my baby's free. My bird can fly. So that's kind of the feeling that sometimes I look at it that way. Where you make an obligation, you want to see it through, and I'm going to make sure that I finish BitHalo completely, where it's just totally usable, has all the features that I have built in, finish BitBay with their pegging and all that other stuff. And then I can take on maybe some smaller projects. And I've been offered a lot of projects, I can tell you. And, by not taking them, I probably missed out on some money, but oh well. It's life.
It's only money. It's
just money.
It's just booty. So I that's right, Captain. Thank you for I think he just passed out in his grog again. Look at that. Well, there you go. Yeah. He does like to knock a fair deal of alcohol in the course of each show. So I think that's a great place to probably end things. Actually, on that note, that really kind of sends a clear message. I think I know to the crew here on the Robin Hood, as well as hopefully just the wider, more general listening audience. So, Larry. Yeah, go ahead. We're gonna. I
have some information for you. So, okay, right here on walletbuilders.com. I actually was wrong. It looks like that they will create your own coin with a pre-mine, custom logo, change the parameters, all that other stuff, for less than $100.
What?
0.05 Bitcoin. Yeah, it looks like it's like $50. I would just do that. Sure. And then their node hosting, they say they can have a dedicated node for your coin hosted in a professional data center for the same. So I guess that's kind of expensive. They're going to charge $50 a month for that. So you probably want to get your own host.
Now, did you just come across these people, or have you been in contact with them for a while?
I've recommended this out to somebody else who had asked me about building a coin, and when I didn't have time, and I just said, okay, here's somebody, and I think that this one's good because you can go and you can just decide your algorithm and all your settings for your coin and all that other stuff. So maybe get a hold of these people. There's a few other services like that. If I go on Google and I just type build an altcoin, altcoin, I mean alternative coin. And looks like there's a couple little services that do it, but not many. Actually, I think that there's really, honestly, should be a much better market for something like this.
Well, and the one of the main things that would just quickly jump out at me would be you'd want to ask yourself, in putting this together, are they going to set things up so that there's some kind of back door in the coding, what do you call it, source coding, that where they can actually come in at some point down the road and just kind of cream everything out, to the tune. I mean,
Okay,
it's been done to it. Like what, Ethereum? I'm not an expert in this field at all, but my spidey sense right off the bat with any of these sort of scenarios tells me inside job. There's that guy in Japan. Who was the guy in Japan a couple of years ago? They just crashed overnight.
Yeah, I'll give you my opinion on Ethereum, and I do know Vitalik Buterin, the main dev. I don't know if he had anything to do with this. I don't want to pull any names or whatever.
Well,
However,
you just did. You just did. Could you repeat that one more time, please?
No. I mean, like I said, he's somebody that I've talked to. I've debated with him in different Bitcoin debates. And here's the thing: Ethereum is a big project. Okay, there is a lot of people involved, and there are some of the people that I've talked to, not him, but other people that I've talked to that really rub me the wrong way. I've met them at conventions, and they're extremely greedy people. And I'm not the only person that thinks this way. There's a lot of other people in the Bitcoin industry that are completely sick of Ethereum for it. Now, as a project, I think what they're doing is very interesting. But when you say the word inside job, I would not be surprised if that DAO project, they raised, $100 million? First of all, they didn't do any marketing. I'm going to bet that a good amount of that money was their own funds that they got a kickback, and they put in maybe 50 million of their own personal pre-mined Ethereum, which they got kicked back, I bet you. And then they I don't know about that bug, but they knew that there was a bug because they had it audited. There was multiple articles on the bug, and it was just totally, personally, it's completely irresponsible to their own investors to launch the project with a bug in it. But with that aside, the DAO disappeared. So first of all, what happened to the money that they gained, and why didn't they at least honor their word? You see, I got fucked in a project too, but I stayed and built it out for free. I'm still working in it, and that's the difference. Like if these people with the DAO, it happened, they need to follow through, and they need to finish their project as they promised. But I've seen it delisted from CoinMarketCap. It's not on the exchanges, and to be honest, I think that allowing a piece of software to go out where you've audited it and you've been aware of a bug and you could test it and you could see that the bug is possible, and then still releasing it is what I think. What else? How could you call it anything else but an inside job? But maybe there's people who would be correct me and say, oh no, it was this, and this. But just from an outside observer's perspective, that's what I think.
How easily can any virtual currency be hacked?
Okay, so here's the thing. If you set up your own coin, here's the cool part about open source. You can have them uploaded on GitHub, or you get the source code yourself, put that source code on GitHub, and then what you do is you compare it to the project they forked. So if they forked, let's say, BlackCoin, then you go ahead and you do a diff between your project and the BlackCoin project, and you can just look at what they've changed. So you'll know immediately if there's a backdoor in it, because you'll say, oh, okay, they've changed this. They changed the supply, they changed the nodes, they changed this, and this, and you say, okay, it's legit, But if you see something that looks really weird, you say, hey, this doesn't make any sense. This looks kind of weird, And if you needed, if you get source code, let me know, man. I can do a quick diff on it and see if there's anything that looks funky and let you know. And other developers or anybody interested in your project, of course, they can take my advice now and do that. They can check and make sure that it's clean. So, but actually, it's smart of you to be concerned about that, because there's still scams that have not yet happened in Bitcoin but are going to. And somebody with a backdoor in their software that maybe has CryptoLocker in it, wow. You could see some serious problems. So I can imagine that there's a lot of different ways to screw over investors with the open source code if they don't check. And it's good to do your own due diligence and really make sure that you care about the community that you're developing your coin for.
Absolutely. Here's the last little kind of just the extra kind of just a tag that we're gonna just add to things as far as the flow of conversation has drawn to a close here. But you mentioned earlier just the people that you've met at these various conventions, some of them, and they've got greed written all over them. It oozes from their every pore, and Adam and so forth. But the thing with the Robinhood and the project that we're working on launching here over the course of time with not only Pirate Radio Podcasts but also WPRPN You'll have to check out the FAQ page that we just got set up the other day. But it's a heavy emphasis. It's written there. It's enshrined right within the context uh, of our mandate, and should you call it a mission statement or not? But that it's a 50-50 redistributive principle, or rather, what's the word I'm looking for here now? Not mechanism, formula. There we go. The magical formula, 50-50. 50 of all network profit, whether it's through network merchandise, subscriptions, or in this case, digital currency, crypto coin of some sorts, whatever the case ends up being, that it goes back to the people. Half of all net profit back to the people, the other half back into the operation to help cover operating costs, as well as and as far as gratuity or people's just wages and so forth. So what do you think of that?
Well,
Just quickly, this idea of a redistributive algorithm, maybe even 50-50, something.
well, yeah. I mean, if you have one of the ideas that I'm really the most excited about for cryptocurrency is companies that pay out percentage of their profits back to the investors, so that the coins that they're holding have some sort of actual value. That, like, if you're renting out, let's say you were a construction company and you wanted to start your own coin, and then you want to start building houses, you rent out the houses, you get 700 a month per house or 1,000 a month per house or whatever, and then you take those profits and then you distribute, let's say, like you said, 50% or whatever back to the original investors until they get recuperated a certain amount of their investment. Then you say that you'll pay them dividends for X amount of years, and this business model could be really with anything. And I'm really surprised we don't see more coins that are doing it. I'm just waiting for the day that that's going to happen. I think some people are worried about the SEC, but since you're not in the United States, then you don't have to care.
What business model in particular? What exactly in particular are you getting at there? What feature?
Like, let's say coins that pay out back to the investors based on how much they hold and out of the profits.
Okay,
So
that's a little different.
if
That's a
if
little
you have
different than I think what I was getting at. But yeah, it's a related issue, of course. Yeah, we could.
if you want to do charity, there's been a lot of coins that have tried a charity model, but I have not seen it catch on. So
This would be
I've seen
both.
it.
This would be both. I believe is kind of what we'd be looking at here. It's the best of both worlds. Is
Yeah, I mean, if you could do both charity and paid out
yeah, private
dividends for profit, if your company makes money on affiliates or whatever and
franchise
grows,
approach.
whatever, I mean, you're going to get money from ads, or you might get money from other things, and then you could pay that back to the people that invested. And the cool thing about the blockchain stuff, the Bitcoin, is you can automate the payment. So you can have a little thing that checks. You don't have to do the payment. Like, you wouldn't have to make a list of everybody that did it. Now that's not how it works. You have a little program that checks, basically everybody's balance, and they say anybody with a balance greater than X gets paid. So if you're holding more than 10,000 coins, you get paid, and you get paid proportionate to how much you hold. You see? So if you hold 1% of the network, then you might get a certain percentage of what gets paid. And talk to me later, and I can kind of show you, kind of write it out for you if you're more of a visual learner, and show you kind of how something like that would be structured. But I think that's a really, really killer idea. And like Larry said, time banks are great. And if you're gonna do pirate radio, think of things that appeal to your audience. What do they want? What do people who listen to radio networks, want? I mean, better than anybody. And what fits the pirate theme? What do all the scallywags? What do they want? They want somewhere to spend their booty, right?
Yeah.
They want to pillage.
Yeah, swashbucklers, and scurvy dogs, and you name it. So, but just before we sign off here, then, and we are gonna hopefully we're gonna give a quick shout out to just a bit of a rundown overview of what we got coming up here over the course of the next coming weeks. But let's hear where these your URL web links again, where people can contact you or get a chance to learn more about you if they are so inclined.
Yeah, so sure, I don't know if they're in your description, but there's for the Bitcoin stuff, you guys can visit bithalo.org, and then you can learn about the unbreakable contracts and stuff, as well as blackhalo.info.
That's right.
However, that software is actually 2-in-1, so it's both. If you download one, you get both, and you can switch from coin to coin at the click of a button. Now, the one with the pegging technology that I told you about, which I'm particularly vouching for and am excited for, is BitBay. So you can go to bitbay.market.
Gotcha.
So it's like a little market extension. So it's like bitbay.market, and you just go there and you can see and download that software as well.
Is it all free? This isn't freeware, is it? Like
it's free, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, everything's. In fact, if you download BitBay, there's a faucet where they'll give you a couple dollars for free just to learn how to use the contracts. So you can just download it and you get like $1. I think it's like the $1.50 right now at what they're giving out for free. It depends on the market resale price, but the guys at the community, you can join the Slack and they'll walk you right through doing the contracts. There's a wizard that helps you install it. It's really user friendly, and then you got to wait for the markets to load because it takes a little time because it's decentralized peer-to-peer. So it takes a little time for it to load, and then when you start seeing the contracts, you'll see a faucet, and the faucet will give you the free coins. So
how about that? Is that something? Oh, wow. Oh boy. Fasten your seatbelts, folks.
We're looking for freedom, Jaffe. That's it. That's what we want.
Yeah, sure. That's part of the reason I was hauled on board, I guess. About a year ago now is kind of the deal there for that whole affair. But thanks once again, David. If there's anything we missed out or left out as far as links or contact information, you got a Facebook account too, of course. People can find you easily enough there, I suppose. David Alan, that's with one L, Zimbeck. And,
I'm not anonymous, so you can contact me on Skype. I have my Gmail. I have accounts with like my ZimbeckChess.org. If you want to check out my chess accolades, ZimbeckChess.org. ZimbeckChess.com. Sorry. And you can look at me on Model Mayhem or IMDb or
we had some of your models. We had a slideshow put together. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see that tonight or not, but some just drop dead gorgeous. That apparently you've been playing the role of Shutterbug too. So how about that?
Yeah, I used to shoot for some jewelry lines as well. So we had some nice, really tasteful stuff that we did.
That's how David the pirate rolls. That's how our pirate David rolls. So great once again, though, young Mr. Zimbeck, to have you join us. We're gonna. I'm definitely looking forward to speaking again here hopefully before too long. I've got to head off to like as was mentioned earlier, a family engagement here. We are presently looking at the Chinese New Year here is what folks are celebrating in South Korea. A lot of family time, of course, and a lot of good stuff as far as all that is concerned. But Pirate Larry, before we really to shut things down here today and call an end to episode 47 of Pirate Radio Podcasts. What do you? Well, we've got some upcoming shows here more than anything that would like to just quickly let people know about. But in the meantime, let's not forget too, we're going to want to hear some of your thoughts on how you felt that today's show went. Tom Schaefer, one of our former guests, will be joining us. It looks like next week. He was he's author, as regular listeners will recall, author of the book Two and the Collectors. Guy by the name of Thomas Sheridan. We've also got him lined up as a guest on the show too. Some people might recognize the name. We'll just kind of leave it at that for now, without having to go into too many details. People can check him out on YouTube if they so choose. A Korean family reunion show might be in the works as well. That will see a bit of a DPRK North Korea tie-in. Still working on that. Potentially even something a little to do with POWs and MIAs. to boot. So Sticks and Hammer 666, a well-known YouTube personality, believe it or not. We've been in contact the last little while, so we're kind of just playing things by ear with that one, but he did get back to us, and we'll hopefully work on nailing down actual date. Lori Love, Larry, I guess that's where you can chime in. You were, I guess, you helped to bring him on board, it looks like. When can we expect to be speaking? We could even do a feature episode if you want, if time is an issue. We can fire that one off at any chance that you feel is most opportune. Let's do it.
Well, let's give him a date. Right now, he's occupying some Russian mansion in the middle of England on behalf of the homeless. I guess the Russian billionaire had abandoned it or left it for a while.
All right.
And so
we'll do a live
Safe
stream.
Winter has taken over to keep people off the streets.
Yeah, no, we'll do a live stream here in the next couple of days, then midweek. How's that sound? Special live streaming from whoever this Russian oligarch, his mansion. I mean, it doesn't get more kind of ballsy than that, I guess, does it? So it's like, but there's a big thing with squatting, of course, and natural rights and absentee landlords in particular. There's a lot to be said for that, and a lot where I think it's how does it just briefly? Well, I'm not sure if you just want to encapsulate things in the course of like 30 seconds or so, but if you can or interested or capable, fire away.
About Lori Love?
No. Well, I mean, if you haven't made that clear enough.
The show was great, man. The show was great. The grog was great. Apologies to John, but it was a grog, and it was great people. Learned a lot. I always learn a lot with David. He's one of my favorite friends, and I understand, like, he's got a lot of work. He's real busy, but I always appreciate the time that he takes to fill everybody in on what's the lowdown with cryptocurrency these days.
It was great. Yeah, I'm really, really, once again, just a big thanks. And that's definitely one for the archives and a discussion that we can revisit at any time and be more than happy to share with the general public, hoping to drum up a little more interest and work towards getting a growing number of people engaged and involved. So as we make our way out the door here today, we're going to hear a little bit from a musical artist based out of, I think it's pronounced Leicester, England. His name is Matt Steady. He's a folk musician we've been in touch with over the last couple months. He's got an album that he put out called Feels Like Coming Home, and it kind of does feel like coming home. I'll be heading over to the in-laws' home here in just a few minutes, from the looks of things. But the name of the tune is called Steel and Rust. We're going to be showcasing, hopefully, not only Matt but yourself as well. Larry, going to get you back in the action there. You got quite a few tunes you've put together over the years. Captain Sinclair actually has specifically requested he hear the tune he wrote, but it goes by the same name. The next indie music showcase. It's a world music indie showcase 2.0 that we're planning on having putting together for listeners here over maybe within the next month or so. Let's not also forget we have the 50th and the first year 50th episode celebration coming up, where we're going to do open lines and just all kinds of good things here within the next few weeks. So on that note, though, folks, thanks for being a part of things, guys and girls in the YouTube live streaming chat, the two Pirate Joes, of course, and everyone else that was a part of things today for the Robin Hood and episode 47 of Pirate Radio Podcasts. It's your Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder, signing off. Little Matt Steady here, Steel and Rust.
living in the shadow of the shipyard. Steve is living day by day. The ships have left and the hours are gone. Gonna have to find another way. His family knows it's a matter of time before he has to up and leave. He promises them that they'll be alright. Just got to sit tight and believe.
Still the rust, faith and trust. He hooks them in turn while the bus waits on. Farewells by the side of the road. Smiles as he speaks to his eldest child. You're the man of the house now, son. The road in the dust, faith and trust.
After 15 long years of letters, he always imagined a smile. As the paycheck arrives and the bills are paid, this love ain't weakened by the miles. He sends them tickets to join him at last. The paper is marked by tears. Time changes people, but they stay the same. A family after all these years.
The steel